Welcome to Thriving Talks with Anthony. Today we're going to have an insightful conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your mental health and your personal development. However, today's conversation, we're going to be talking about understanding social anxiety, navigating social situations with confidence. I want to be able to develop a video that's going to be able to help you guys have tools and techniques to manage your anxiety when you guys are able to be in different situations, to be able to have that improved confidence in social settings, to foster a healthier interpersonal relationship. So viewers will be able to recognize and learn different social anxiety things, challenges, thoughts, and implement practical strategies to be able to, help you out in different situations and areas, so you're able to have ease. Let's just dive into our first segment. We're going to be able to just, talk about what is social anxiety. So for people out there, social anxiety can, be overwhelming, especially when you're in a room full of people or you're in meetings and different things like that. You may not feel comfortable with that person or just even that setting, which makes you feel nervous, right? So it's a fear that many of us may feel or have, but it dives into being judged or even rejected. So we're gonna just dive into some key points, so please tune in. So our key point number one is going to be able to be the definition of social anxiety, which is basically social anxiety is the intense fear of social situations where one feels or might be judged, criticized, or humiliated, right? So sometimes, someone's giving us feedback or, giving us, an assessment in regards to, like I said, judged, criticized, or humiliated. This makes us feel some type of way. Symptoms tie into these can include intensive or excessive self-consciousness, racing heart, sweating, difficulty speaking, or even avoiding social interactions altogether, right? When it comes to research, from according to the National Institute of Mental Health in 2022, approximately 15 million adults in the US experience social anxiety, making it one of the most common mental health challenges, right? So this is a common thing that we all may feel, like I said, with us, with COVID and different things that are happening, or like I said, just diving back into just different environments. Imagine if you're going to be going back to school after COVID, or imagine going on campus for the first time, transition from high school. So these are different situations that people are going to be undergoing, and it makes it better when we're able to navigate with proper tools. So let's keep moving on in our next segment. Why do we experience social anxiety? So social anxiety often starts with a mix of past experiences, personal traits, and even genetics. So why does it even happen, or why does it impact our physical or even our mentality, how we think? So a key point I want to dive into is going to be the fight or flight response, right? So when you face these social situations, the brain interprets these events as a threat, triggering the body to fight or flight response. This leads to physical symptoms that increase the heart rate or sweating. Sometimes you get like sweaty palms, you feel irritable, face may get red. These different things that you may see in your body just based off of that response, right? Another key point is going to be that negative thought patterns. So people with social anxiety tend to overestimate the potential of embarrassment or rejection, leading them to have heightened fear or avoidance, right? So the negative thoughts. Next is going to be the past experiences. So negative social experiences or childhood trauma can contribute to the development of social anxiety, especially if someone is bullied or rejected in the past. So different personal experiments that an individual may have went through could definitely play into that current anxiety. When it comes to research, according to a study from the cognitive therapy and research found that social anxiety is found often fueled by negative self-perception and the fear of being evaluated negatively by others, right? So my big thing I want other people to recognize is that you got to love yourself. You have to see yourself better than anybody else sees you. This is your life. No one knows what you're going through, and it's really important that you have and you do this like self-actualization, so that interpersonal work, as we're talking about that personal development, so you're able to make sure that you have that self-confidence, right? People could view you how they want to view you, but it should not impact you, because you should love yourself and you should just know how you see yourself, and it wouldn't matter about whatever's going on out there. So that's just moving back, but I just want to be able to bring that research insight. However, like I said, we got to love ourselves. We got to make sure that we give ourselves those affirmations, we do that self-reflecting work, and we really have that gratitude so that we have that good self-perception of ourselves, so we're not really caring about that and letting that negative self-perception of others impact us, right? I really want to bring that insight from my personal views. However, our next segment, we're going to dive into identifying negative thought patterns. It's really important that we, identify how we're feeling and assess these emotions, right? So one of the most powerful ways to manage our social anxiety is by, like I said, identifying the challenges by negative thought patterns that it fuels. So let's talk about some common thought patterns that may, make social situations feel overwhelming, right? So key point is going to be mind reading, right? So believing that you have ability to, see what other people are thinking, such as assuming what people are thinking, or, this also ties into judging you negatively, right? We can't control how other people view us or how other people see us, and we sure can't, mind read. So I really want us to take that into consideration of that playing into our anxiety for some social situations. Another one is going to be catastrophizing. So assuming that the worst case scenario will happen, like you'll make a huge mistake or everyone will notice a situation. My big thing is, if you make a mistake, right, we're all human. You spill something in public, you drop something, you fall, the shoes, whatever the situation may be, it's like we can get up and we can, we can pull things up together, right? We all make mistakes, we can, we don't gotta over exaggerate, but that is something that definitely plays into situations. Mistakes happen, right? So let's just move forward. Another one would be overgeneralizing. So believing that because one social event went poorly, all future events will be the same, right? We got to make sure that we're not overgeneralizing and being kind of more optimistic, more open-minded, more open to different things and experiences, so that we're able to see different sides of things to break that social anxiety, right? When it comes to research insights, a study from the Journal of Anxiety Disorders in 2020 showed that individuals with social anxiety often engage in distorted thinking patterns, which perpetrate feelings of fear and avoidance. So it's really important, like I said, to make sure that we're identifying our thought patterns. We're not overgeneralizing. We're not trying to blow things out of proportion, and we're just trying to be calm, present. A big thing I would want to recommend too is do deep breathing, doing those journal exercises, so you're able to be more in tune with your emotions, your thoughts, your body, and how things are going in your current experience in that environment. Our next segment, we're going to be talking about practical techniques for, managing our social anxiety. It's very important for us to be able to, like I said, have techniques and tools, because we're going to be in different settings around different people, and sometimes the rooms may even get bigger, and we got to be able to know how to, keep ourselves balanced and, manage ourselves when it comes to social anxiety. So let's dive into just some key points, right? So I mentioned briefly before is some breathing techniques. So slow, deep breathing, it can activate the body's relaxation response, so reducing anxiety. Practicing deep breathing, or breathing in general, right? For 4 seconds, holding, your breath for about the other 4 seconds, and exhaling for the other 4 to calm your nerve system. So just practicing this is gonna be able to help you throughout the day. And do this daily, try your best to do this daily, and you're going to recognize your body is going to be having a better response to regulating in different situations. You're going to realize your brain, your mind, eyes, and everything that is just calmer, and you're able to have more control, right? So I really want to take that in consideration, because this is a practice that I use personally, whether I'm going on a bathroom break, or whether I need to just take a little walk, or I just need to get myself regulated. Finding the right environments and spaces for yourself is essential. Next key point is cognitive behavioral techniques, CBT. So this is a therapy modality, so a technique that they use. So challenge your negative thoughts by asking questions like, what is the evidence for this thought? Or what is the worst that can happen? And how likely is that, right? So really questioning and having critical thinking towards, these emotions, what's the current experience, and really trying to, break these negative thoughts down, so you're able to really navigate yourself to where you want to be, right? And not letting your anxiety hold you back. Next key point is going to be grounding exercises. So using grounding techniques to stay present and calm during those social interactions. For example, focus on the sensation of your feet on the ground and the objectives in the room. Just different things. One thing that one mentor, Miss Liliana, told me is that when you're walking in nature, you want to be able to look at different things and be really observant, be optimistic, be open. You see the trees, like really look at the bark, the wood on the tree. Just really be really observant. The butterflies, different, the details. Really just look at those things, and you realize that everything that you're doing is essentially calming you down because you're focusing on things and not things that are around you. You're just focusing on what's in front of you, right? So when you're really doing these grounding exercises, it really helps you overall. But with proper practice and consistency, you're going to recognize positive changes. Next is going to be progressive exposure. So gradually expose yourself to more social situations, starting with smaller ones, less intimidating ones, to build confidence over time. So things can get better, right? Start small in general, and then as you just naturally get confident, and things will get better when you start to get yourself into bigger environments. But overall, is just like I said, try to be optimistic, try to be open-minded, and just get yourself exposure in general, right? At least try, right? And put that proper effort, and you're gonna recognize something in yourself, and keep being progressive with that. Over time, things will get better. Some research insights according to the Journal of Clinical Psychology: individuals who practice breathing exercises and cognitive reframing techniques showed a significant reduction in social anxiety symptoms over 12 weeks, right? So when we break down those negative thoughts and really assessing those, and we're doing breathing exercises and a collaboration of this consistency, we're gonna recognize a serious changes in obviously that social anxiety symptoms over, period of time. So I want us to take that into consideration. We can do this. We can properly, break social anxiety, feel more comfortable and feel more at ease when we have practice and we use these techniques. But let's slide into our next segment in regards to building confidence in social situations. Confidence is key. When we have confidence, we feel at ease, we feel comfortable in ourselves. Like that's why I've been saying that, we focus on the personal development, so we're able to make sure that in any room that we're in, we feel good, we feel competent, we feel like we're supposed to be here, and we have that essence with us too, right? That bright spirit. So building confidence in social situations is a gradual process, but with consistency, as I mentioned, and practice, you'll feel more comfortable with yourself, in addition to the authentic setting, right? So a key point I want to be able to mention, as you mentioned before, is start small. So begin in engaging in low pressure and social interactions, like greeting a neighbor or making a small talk with a colleague. So just start there. In different situations that you're usually in, just try to be a little bit more bright, do more, provide more service, provide more value, but put yourself first. And consistency in regards to your self-care regimen, make sure you're on point with that, but start small and then, gradually improve. Next is going to be self-affirmation. So use positive affirmations and, counteract with that negative self-talk. Break those thoughts down. What we talked about, the CBT. Remind yourself that you are worthy of the connection, and it's okay to make mistakes. Like I said, you fall down, we have the ability to get back up. Next is going to be celebrate small wins. So every time you face a social situation, no matter how small, celebrate that with the effort you put in. This will reinforce that confidence, right? So like I said, when you start small and you have that, that milestone right there, you want to celebrate and then move on to the next milestone, and then, keep building up. Celebration is key. Next is going to be focus on others. So shift your focus away from yourself by generally engaging with others and showing, interest in their lives, right? So not really purposefully just always focusing on yourself in these situations, and obviously overthinking and just keeping your mind in your mind, and all, like we mentioned before, is not just overgeneralizing, but assuming, right? We got to stop assuming and thinking that we have the ability to, know what someone else got going on, but just putting that away, clearing the board, and just really just, being more observant, but being also more open-minded to learning about another person. This takes the pressure off of you, and it can make the social interaction feel more natural when you're just, being just natural and authentic. So put the focus on others. When it comes to research, from a study from the behavioral therapy found that individuals who take part in gradual social exposure and practice self affirmations experience a 30% increase in social confidence within 3 months, right? So like I said, when we have the exposure, we're getting out there, we're trying to put the effort into meeting other people and just breaking this social anxiety, in addition to having that self affirmations, building ourselves up, talking, highly of ourselves, loving ourselves, like I said, having that self-care regimen, and just making sure we have this blend, this mixture, and working on those, those tools, like I said, the breathing techniques, and really going in there with the positive mindset, and taking a lot of the assumptions, a lot of those negative thoughts out of our system, and really kind of clearing our rewiring with positive energy, positive thoughts, positive thinking. We're really going to be able to have a more increased social confidence and breaking that social anxiety. Right? So let's slide into our next segment in regards to dealing with setbacks and staying patient, because this is essential, right? So overcoming social anxiety is a journey, and it's, some setbacks you may have along the way, and it's important to be patient with yourself and recognize, that growth takes time, good things take time, you know what I mean? When it comes to any good statue that comes to mind that you think of, or any good art piece, this probably didn't take, an hour. It didn't take 10 minutes to make. Anything good in just general takes time. So we got to be able to be, kind to ourselves and have that compassion. So our key point we're going to be talking about is be kind to yourself. So social anxiety doesn't disappear overnight. If you have any setback, don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge that your effort, take that into consideration, learn from your experience, and like I said, have that compassion. Next is going to be able to be track your progress, so keep a journal by your side for your experiences, noting, how you felt before, during, after the situation, these social situations. You're celebrating your improvements, and no matter how small or how big it was, and you're really tracking that progress down, is going to be good for you, so you're able to look at that, in future years to come. Next is going to be, seek support. I want you guys to be able to consider joining a support group, or taking, even the consideration of talking to a therapist who are going to be able to give you that, professional, assessment, or just that help you, guide you through your process, and offer you, personalized strategies, more into detail, right? And in regards to some research, I want to be able to include too from, a study published in Psychiatry, and research found that individuals who practice self-compassion during setbacks showed greater resilience in managing social anxiety over time. So like I said, we can do this when we're, patient, when we are consistent, when we have compassion, and we all blend out with that self-love, with the positive mindset. We're really going to be able to, have better self-confidence in any situation, and navigating social situations with confidence. We can make it happen. We can do it. And with Thriving Talks, this is what we do, right? So we are going to work on our personal development. We're going to uplift ourselves, but managing social anxiety is, something that we can eliminate this fear by, navigating as the tools that we discussed today. And with practice and staying tuned, we can transform our experience and our social experiences and build healthier relationships. However, if you found this video beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share it, and drop any comment if necessary. However, see you on the next one. Take it easy.